Hey friends, welcome to the recordings from the Study and Work in America International Student E-Summit. It was such an amazing webinar. I'm Rob. It was my privilege to help host this event. Thanks for everyone who tuned in, and for those who missed it, we're going to be sharing these recordings to help you guys, to guide you on your journey whether to study or work and get jobs here in America. This video is a recording from Harnoor, Singing USA, and he's talking about job opportunities, career opportunities after grade 12, especially for commerce, med, and non-medical students. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Freelanta. And this is not going to be like a learning lesson. It's going to be mainly like a storytelling lesson. I'm going to be sharing a story of a kid who came as a robot in 2016, who just thought that he's just a mere programmer who doesn't know like about real life. I was just a nerd when I came here, but finally in 2020, I can say that I have transitioned finally to a human being. And about me, I am currently doing my master's, and this is kind of like finals week, and I'll be finishing my master's in May 2020. And I started up with my undergrad in fall 2016, and I'll be joining as a software engineer pretty soon in July. So my passion when I was in my like grade 11 or 12, I was like every Indian kid in non-medical who wanted to like go to like the top top IITs in India. So I was preparing for that, but it kind of hit me that I will not be able to get the flexibility in my course. I wanted to do computer science, so that's why I started up with my research, and I was mainly preparing for Canada for the top schools like University of British Columbia and University of Waterloo. And I was prepared for that because they were asking me, hey, you need to focus on your math grades in grade 12, and you need 90% above in that. And I was kind of prepared. But later on, like when I was in the application process, then I thought that I should actually switch gears and aim for US. And the reason behind that was because I was getting more flexibility in terms of location. I wanted to like be close to first of all, I wanted to be like I was first aiming for MIT and Harvard, but then my ACT scores weren't good, so that's why I ended up applying to schools like Georgia Tech, Georgia State University. And then I focused only on US because I thought I shouldn't waste a lot of money in applying to more than one country. So that's why I stick to US, and then got into Georgia State University, and then how my journey started. And I wanted to go to University of British Columbia, but when I was in my days, I was searching up on YouTube. Then I couldn't find any information about, hey, what's going to be in Georgia State University, Georgia Tech, UBC, MIT. And when I was also filling up my essays, I wanted like a good information. Hey, why you want to go to this school? Because this is like a question every university asks you. But later on, I got the motivation that I somehow should visit, and I should experience why that school is unique. So that's how my YouTube channel started, and I started sharing information about these schools, which were my dream schools as well. And now you might be thinking we're going to be talking about scope in US for 11th, 12th, after 11th, 12th, if you are like doing arts in your 12th grade, or non-medical, commerce, medical, etc. So you might be thinking that if you're doing non-medical, you have these list of options, and on the other hand, if you are doing medical, you have like opportunities in pharmacy, etc. But I want to change your perspective. You shouldn't be thinking like that, because if you will be limiting yourself to so and so majors, just like we do, hey, I have pursued non-medical, so the only option I have is to become an engineer or to be an IT technician. Or if you're pursuing medical, you will be thinking, hey, I can only become like nurse, or maybe like go into biology research, etc. So I want to remove that perspective from our mind, and the reason behind that is like we should be like we and the reason behind that is, if that was the case when we were born, then Sachin Tendulkar wouldn't have been what he is right now. He couldn't have become a cricketer. Similarly, Priyanka Chopra, who started her journey as a Miss World, she couldn't have even thought of becoming a singer. So that's why I want to remove this perspective, and I want you guys to come or to join college as a student with open mind. You have to be flexible enough, because here in US, the biggest lesson that I have learned is that in most of the universities like Harvard, Stanford, or maybe even the average universities, Georgia Tech, a lot of students don't even decide their major till they are in their third year, and they can pretty much like change their major from biology to even acting to theater to whatsoever they want to learn. So that's why our mindset is not restricted. So when I came, I was thinking that, hey, I can only become a programmer, and that's why I chose computer science. But that's why that's the perspective I want to break at this time. And a lot of students who are like pursuing maybe non-medical, they always come as a perspective of becoming an engineer rather than like putting their minds or getting hands into physics, chemistry, or biology, because they think that they're not compatible to study that. So that's something that I wanted to break out, or that's something I wanted to clarify using this webinar. And I have seen that a lot of us have our minds of not just one like category. Like we are not 100% programmer. We are like 75% maybe artists. We have like 83% skills of cooking, or maybe have 42% side of our brain which is focused on acting, or it could be wait, let me minimize this, or it could be wait or it could be 17% singing. So that's why like we have to be like flexible enough to try all of it. And that's what like American culture has basically taught me by making friends here. And they pretty much like try they never restrict themselves to one major. They try in all the fields, and once they find that, hey, like YouTube is my thing, or maybe singing is my thing, then they kind of focus on that for some time, and then they switch gears again as well. So like so that's like one of the biggest reason. When we are studying in India, we are kind of like different as compared to American high schools, because in American high schools what we get is we can pretty much choose any course we want to. We can mix up biology with computer science, and that makes us like that gives us more exposure to different fields, and our perspective opens up. And right now, for current situation, I want you to be like focused on your grades and SAT and ACT. But you might not know that SAT and ACT has recently uh, been become optional for all the students who are currently applying for fall 2021. So that's why you can skip that part. And Harvard and MIT haven't waived it off yet, but dozens of schools have waived it off from their application requirements. And what you have to be focused on is, right now in your timeline, you might be thinking you have like maybe set up your goals that in April you have your J means exam, or in May you have your J advance, or and then you have a break and college. But right now I want you to wait, let me minimize this. I want you to transform it to try something new every time. So whether it's April, May, or June, you can like focus on a goal, and then you can pursue your passion to try something new. Because when you enter in college, you will not even know that what you want to pursue, because once you like get into college, you will be given options. You can change your major to pretty much anything you want to. You can pursue biology, physics, economics, acting, etc. So to find out our real passion, you have to try something new. For example, if Priyanka Chopra, who is my inspiration, if she had never tried singing, she would never have been able to become a Hollywood singer. And not only this, she started as a Bollywood actor. And she first of all tried to be a Hollywood actor. She just tried like if she first tried as a Hollywood singer, which she could have skipped, because she got enough success in her Bollywood career. If she had thought, hey, I have got the enough fame I wanted, enough money, then why to work hard for more success? But she didn't feel contented, and that's why she tried for more things in her life. And that's why she could also become not just Hollywood singer, but also Hollywood actor, which she was featured in Quantico. So and also like I don't want you to be the same person in 3 Idiots, ताकि मतलब आपको लगे कि टैक्सी बाहर थी, लेटर हाथ में था, एक बार जरा सी हिम्मत कर ली होती तो सारी जिंदगी कुछ और होती. In other words, I don't want you to think in the end that if you wouldn't have changed your stream back in college, or maybe like 5 years ago when you have like already become a software engineer, I don't want you to be like the person who will wish, back in my days, if I had pursued acting, then I would have a completely different person. So I don't want you to hate a job, because I have seen 70 or 60% above people who are working in IT industry, they kind of hate their job at some point of time. So that's why in your college, it's your responsibility to make use of that time in the best possible way, so that you can try all of your interests, and you can become the next Priyanka Chopra, or you can be known by your own unique name. And that's all. If you have any questions, I'll be answering through Q&A.
I think there is one question very specific to Georgia State. It says that we got for fall 2020 and awarded 100% campus scholarship. Uh, Scholarship. My family is planning on funding 2 years of tuition. So my question is, how hard is it to balance side projects, on campus jobs, 18 credit hours class? Is it all doable? And can we get internship right after that first year?
I think internship, even if you go to top school like Harvard, MIT, you cannot be guaranteed first year internship. It's something you have to try around from the first day you enter to school. I have seen a lot of students, even from top schools, they go back to India and they keep that as a backup option for internship. And that's how they get a better internship in their next year. So this could be like pretty much same for any university.
Harnoor, someone asked here about what is the TOEFL and SAT exams. Could you explain what those are to somebody? TOEFL and SAT?
Difference between TOEFL and SAT?
Or just what they are. Someone wasn't sure what those are.
Sure. So TOEFL and IELTS are pretty much the English proficiency test exam, which are required to be proven that you can actually study in American college in like English environment where English is prominently spoken. But SAT is like an IQ test, which checks your ability to see that whether you can like perform, which actually estimates like you are better than this student in terms of IQ. You can learn better than the student A versus B. So it kind of compares two students.
Here's a couple more questions related to that. Someone asked, which exams do we need to do after 12th to study in America? And what kind of work experience before 12th helps before coming to America? So exams and work experience, kind of before and after 12th, before coming to the US.
In terms of work experience, you don't need to consider on that, but you can actually try getting maximum work experience by getting into freelancing. If you open a lot of freelancing websites, they are ready to hire any person who has done decent amount of projects in so and so languages, or it could be maybe graphic design, it could be in anything. So you can just try and see if you get hired by any person. So it's like an opportunity that a student will ping you that he needs like private tutoring in some kind of project, or it could be like a company wants to get done a kind of project as well. So it depends. So using your skills, you can hire as a teacher or as a professional employee. So freelancing would be best, what I would recommend after 12. And in terms of exams, you basically need IELTS and TOEFL at this time, because you cannot take SAT and ACT because of COVID-19, they cannot be taken online anymore.
Got a few questions here about expenses, so I'll throw that out there. Someone asked, how do you manage your expenses in undergrad? What are the basic expenses total for masters in USA? I have some generic thoughts about expenses for undergrad and masters.
For undergrad, the maximum possible scholarship for public schools is like 50%, which kind of waives off the out-of-state fee. So out-of-state fee is the fee that is supposed to be paid by any person who's not a resident. For example, if someone who lives in California wants to study in Georgia, he will be paying the out-of-state fee in Georgia, and that's the same fee you will kind of be paying from India or any other country. But if in order to get in-state scholarship, a lot of universities have written that if you have so and so grade in your 12th class, then you can be given that opportunity. So that's the number one type of scholarship. Number two is if you apply to need-blind schools, for example, MIT, Harvard, other need-blind schools are maybe Princeton. So if you apply to that, depending on your parents' income, you will be given need-based scholarship, and it can be even free. For example, in Harvard, if your income is less than $65,000 a year, you don't even have to pay for flight, books, your tuition, your food, housing, everything will be free in some of these schools. And now talking about masters, if you apply well and if you talk to the research professors over there well, you can be given fully funded program from that university as a master's applicant. It's difficult for masters, but for PhD, a lot of students get funding, so they don't have to pay anything at all for funding. So I kind of fell into the category of fully funded master's program, and I reached out to the professor. I already had a professor in my mind in undergrad and kind of connected to him, and he gave me the funding to do my master's.
Great.
I can read one more question. I am in a similar situation for preparing IIT, and I am aspiring to get into MIT. What should be the backup plans if we aren't from good financial background? as all colleges don't offer need blind scholarship, and even my parents lose faith. So I think the good backup option would be you can always take the J mains and other exams that are required to go into NITs, IITs, etc. I know you might not perform that well, but I still took the J mains exam and I got 50,000 rank. So that was good enough to go to the same school in my city itself. So if I wouldn't have got the visa to go to US, I would have gone to the school in my city, to the university in my city.
Great. Here's one. Someone's asking about extracurriculars. They said, which is more of a priority? Should they be working on their extracurriculars more than their academics? They're more interested in extracurriculars, but which is more helpful for their college journey?
Extracurriculars versus
Extracurriculars versus the academics.
I think academics serves as a base. So if you do not have good academics, maybe top schools like Harvard, MIT, Princeton, etc., will not even open their profile. This is not just me saying. My friend Rajveer from Harvard, he said the same sentence, that academics serve as a base, because if you consider the students who had bad grades, or you can say GPA around 2.0 out of 4 in American system, there was only one student out of the batch of 100 who landed to Harvard with that kind of grades, and he was a US citizen. So as an international applicant, it is very important for you to have the best possible academics as a base, so that they can open your profile. And once you have that base, you can kind of they can kind of jump into your extracurriculars. And what your goal should be is, you should be able to identify yourself with just one word. Let's say Rajveer from Harvard, he said he was able to be identified by the application reader in Harvard as a one word, that was blogger, because he used to write blogs which used to get 70,000 plus views on his website. So if you are able to identify using one word which makes you unique, so that's the kind of extracurriculars you should get into.
And I'll add to that, we've got several questions here about places like MIT and Harvard, everyone's dream schools. So Harnoor, since you've been there, I know your YouTube videos of visiting those places went viral. What advice do you have people who want to go to these top Ivy League schools? What are the big, what do they need to focus on? What do they need to understand so they can stand out and have a chance?
Exactly same. You have to be an applicant who's unique, and so that you can describe yourself by one word, like as a blogger, as a painter, as a YouTuber, as maybe actor, as like Indian Idol, who has been to Indian Idol, like a singer at an exceptional national level, state level, and any title that you can gain by participating in extracurricular. It could be even in like sports, like a best national level swimmer, or it could be even in Olympiads, like you have an exceptional rank which identifies you as a physics Olympiad topper, or any tag you can gain which makes you unique will help you getting to the top schools using your extracurriculars.
I have a question for Harnoor. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So the thing is, I want because now I got to know so much about you. I wanted to know what was your motivation with doing videos on this, especially the topic of getting started to come over here, and how has that helped you? Like it's a like, for example, even being a YouTuber, it's a lot of stuff. Like, people don't understand there's so much of work that goes on the back end. So what has kept you going? What has kept you on track, and how has that helped you? Like, why did you choose this topic? Kind of like that.
Oh, okay. The first motivation was to make videos rather than watching videos. The second motivation was
That is so cool. Yeah.
the second motivation was that when I was applying back in my 12th grade, I wasn't able to find information about particular universities I want to apply to. For example, University of British Columbia, University of Waterloo, maybe MIT, Harvard. I wanted to know what makes them unique, and so that I can answer in my essays, hey, why you want to go to MIT? And for example, students like answer why I want to go to Georgia Tech, GSU, and they answer free food, free Lanta. And so these reasons were the ones that I was looking back in my time, and I wanted these reasons to other students.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing.
Harnoor, we've gotten some questions here about different scores. People are asking about what are their chances of getting into good universities without good scores in grade 10 or grade 12? How important are the grade 10 and grade 12 scores in GPA for getting into colleges here in America?
Grade 11 and 12 scores don't really matter. What matters is the predicted score. plus your overall 9 to 12 score. So basically, when you go to your school, you haven't gotten your 12th final exam score. So you are applying. Let's look at the timeline. You are in your grade 12th. When you're applying, the month is November, and final exams is in next year April. So you don't have your 12th grade score. So you will be giving predicted score, 12th midterm score, 12th final, predicted score, 11th score, 10th, and 9th score. So using these 4 scores, you will be calculating your high school GPA. And what you can do is, like, these scores are dependent on the school. So you can tell them, hey, hello, principal or counselor of the so-and-so school, can you write my predicted class 12 score as 90% plus? Because they know you better, because if you have performed well in 9th and 10th, you can ask them, can you give me a good score for that? Because that's just a statement saying that so-and-so student or Harnoor will score 92% in final exam. You're not saying he will definitely score. It's just predicted that he will score 92%. Using that score, they will be able to check whether you are a qualified applicant. And later on, when you get your final board exam score, even if it's like 10 to 20% less than the predicted, you will still get in. They don't ask for it. Only UK does that. Your score has to be 5% close to the predicted. No other country does.
And Harnoor, this is the question that everyone wants to know. How do you get free food every time?
I don't get it anymore. I mean, not every time, but it just depends on school to school. But I can tell you, MIT has the maximum number of free food. Maximum, pretty much every day you can get free food in MIT, even more than Freelanta. So Freestone is better than Freelanta.
Nice.
I will say there that when I joined Columbia, I made this group called Free Food on WhatsApp, and I got free food almost every day for the entire semester, because someone would post every single day.
Wow.
Because there'll be events all throughout the campus. So just create a free food group after you go to the university, and you'll be all set.
Absolutely. Our free food group has around 1,700 members now. I still get those messages, and they are like giving public coupons. Even in the quarantine, people can get free food. Quick question about Duolingo. So many of you don't know that the last video I made was about Duolingo. That's kind of like a third test for IELTS and TOEFL. It's good enough for US if the university is accepting, but for Canada, you have to look into it, because Canada's embassy is requiring you IELTS or TOEFL, or mainly preferably IELTS. But for some universities, they're open. You can give them IELTS, TOEFL, or Duolingo English test, which can be taken online in this isolation or lockdown.
Here's a good undergraduate question. Is it possible to apply for a job after doing bachelor's from India and directly get a job without having work experience?
Can you repeat the question?
Is it possible to apply for a job after doing bachelor's from India directly from here without having any work experience?
Okay, so internship from India directly from there and to get a job in US. Yeah, it is possible if you get direct sponsorship from the employee in US. Like if he can sponsor you for your H-1B, in that case, you can get a job. I don't know much about it because I haven't experienced that, or I haven't heard any of that story.
I did an internship in India. That kind of helped me to get internship over here. But it's not like it's something that the experience counts. That's what I want to say. It's not like it's not like you can get an internship there and then kind of get converted over here and do that, because that requires a lot of things like sponsorship and all that stuff. But if you, for example, if you have a summer semester and if you're not taking any courses, and that's what was the situation for me. I was not taking any courses, but I wanted a fall internship, and nobody will give me a fall internship without having an experience. So I went back to India, saved so much of my money in living expenses and all of that stuff. I went back to India. I kind of did a free internship at Ericsson, and that landed me internship at Intel because the experience was relevant in wireless. So I think that helps if you could leverage that, like, because getting an internship in India is easier, and especially if it's a free internship. So the experience counts, like having that on the resume.
Thanks so much for watching. We hope this video is really helpful to guide you guys in your journey to success. There's a couple ways you guys can say thanks. One is filling out the feedback form, whether the link is in the description. That's going to help us put on more webinar events like this. Don't forget to subscribe to the channels of all the presenters to show your support and help us to help you guys. And lastly, connect with us on LinkedIn. Don't forget to tag us. You can recommend us. We really want to help you guys out in your journey to success here in America. Cheers.